Good evening, my name is Garrett, and welcome to The Last Call. On tonight's verses, we have Ardbeg Hypernova coming in at a 51% ABV, no age statement, versus Laphroaig Cask Strength coming in at a 60.1% ABV, 10-year age statement. More recently on one of my videos, I had a commenter ask about the peatiness level of Ardbeg Hypernova versus the Laphroaig 10 Cask Strength. They looked at my shelves and noticed that and asked that question. And I don't want to call you out just for, if you don't want to be, but if you do, let me know and I'll tag you down below as well, because it is a good question. Ardbeg Hypernova is touting itself to be one of the peatiest scotches that they've released, and on paper, this is like 3 times higher of a ppm level than Laphroaig 10 tends to be. And that's just paper though. What's the real world experience between these two? And what better way to find out than to do a real world comparison? So let's get into things. We'll be comparing on notes, taste, and lastly, price. So let's get into things. And as always, make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel, all that kind of good stuff. And I'll be linking the reviews for these individually when they're live up above and down below for you to enjoy afterwards, along with some other peated scotches. One of the other bottles they brought up was the Octomore series, and more recently I've actually been able to start seeing them here in Indiana, though I've never picked them up because they are kind of costly bottles. And it's just been one of those things, kind of like I'll get there when I get there kind of thing. Actually, it looks like I need a little bit more Hypernova in there. We'll get a little bit more hyper. There we go, a little bit more. I mean, already on color, holy crap, that is a big difference on color. This is almost clear comparatively to the Laphroaig. Wow. That is crazy difference on that. And again, there is an ABV difference as well, 51 compared to 60.1. So almost, 9 and some change difference on that. So I'm really interested on it. But, man, I don't know. Do I start with the Ardbeg? Let's start with Ardbeg. Let's go for notes. Whew, that is peaty. That is smoky, earthy, salty. That is gorgeously dark. Like, it smells like, if you were to be blindfolded, it smells like a very, very dark and rich scotch. But once you start peeling back those hefty, thick layers of smoke and peat, you do get a bit of citrus and a bit of spice going on there, very lightly. You do have to look for it. But it gets a little sweet, like a fruit sweetness in there. Maybe like an apple note going on today. But definitely earthy, peaty, salty are your main 3 characteristics in this bottle. And from that point, it goes a little soft once you get back in there. But there's not a lot of depth. There's not a lot of characteristics going on here. Maybe a little seaweed, those kind of notes that are kind of notorious to be found inside Ardbegs. But besides that, it is a definite peat bomb there. But let's check out the Laphroaig 10. So here, it actually is quite a bit different on the smokiness. This has definitely got a smokier nose on there. Yeah. The Laphroaig tends to be bringing out more iodine notes, and so it gets a little more medicinal on that, but you still get the earthy, peaty element in there. A little bit more seaweed, a little bit softer saltiness going on. But comparatively, this has a lot more peatiness to it. Definitely a little more body when it comes directly to that. But also here, yeah, you get the iodine, that kind of wet asphalt on a hot day note, things like that Laphroaig 10 is known to bring. A little bit of caramel in there now. Definitely a little bit of sweetness, but it is a night and day difference when it comes to what Laphroaig is bringing to the table. A lot of people love Laphroaig, but it is an acquired taste for some because of that iodine note. And you definitely get that pretty strong on the nose. Where here, you don't really get that level. It's even coming back to here. You still get that earthy, peaty layer. Very smoky on the nose. Just comparatively on notes there, this is got so much more of a peat bomb than the cask strength version. But the cask strength has a little bit more complexity to it. And again, it's probably because this is going to be an older Scotch compared to the Hypernova. Because now that you're going back there and getting a bit more fresher, sweeter notes, and you just got to live with the two, kind of go back and forth and try to see where you're picking up those differences. Yeah, nice oak layer in there too. Here you don't get any oak characteristics, nothing like that. Well, let's go for a taste on the Ardbeg. Smoky, peaty, like salty beyond belief. Like so salty, it's like you're licking a salt lick. It really just permeates the palate, and it's got a good warmth to it. The ABV is not so sharp that it's getting to the point that it's too much ABV. Definitely it's got that good layer of smoky, peaty, earthy going on here. But the saltiness, surprisingly, is what really ramps it up to another level. Not a lot of sweet characteristics here. Very little oak, very little spice on the taste. And again, you really don't even get any of those apple notes that I was getting on the nose. Maybe a 0.1% of sweetness going on there. Still a great sip. Coats the palate really well, even the whole mouth. I'm not going to keep drinking that because I want to get an initial sip of the Laphroaig going on here. So let's go for taste here. Still has a good smokiness to it, and it's holding up pretty well in that case. Now, and we'll say this much, it definitely doesn't have the same level of smokiness that the Hypernova has. This is, you're bringing in a little bit more saltiness, again, almost that seaweed note, getting a little bit salty green going on there, like salty grass, I guess. The cask strength is showing up here on the taste. You definitely get a good warmth from it, coats the palate even more. It coats the palate a lot more than the Hypernova does. It really coats well with those oils, and that's really nice. But you're also getting that higher spike in that iodine and the wet asphalt notes. So that's something that is completely different compared to Ardbeg. And in that case, it is kind of hard to compare the two on other notes. If you're basing this off of pure smokiness, at least on my initial sip here, the Hypernova really takes that home. If you're looking for more complexity, definitely the Laphroaig cask strength has all what you're looking for. Still get a bright citrus in there, that seaweed note, the salty, earthy peaties showing up, a bit of oak as well. And that sweetness, the nice thing is that helps cut that bit of smoky peaty a bit. So if this is your first time, welcome to smoky peaty Scotch, but definitely it kind of helps break that up a little bit on the palate. Let's go back to the Ardbeg here. And here even then, even though this is a cask strength over here, this is still coming up as that dominant smoky, peaty, earthy. It doesn't win out on the ABV section, so my mouth is still being coated by this. And you still get the smokiness, but again, the complexity stops there. And I think that's probably one of the bigger complaints I have on this bottle, is that it's not super complex. And sadly, I think that's one of the bigger complaints that I have against the Hypernova, is that it's just not super complex. Especially for its asking price, you want a little bit more. But again, if they're keeping this at a young age, there's a good reason why the Laphroaig has the complexity. But you still get a lot of the smokiness. This doesn't hide that. I'm gonna go back here and see what happens. See, I'm getting less and less smoky. Still getting some, don't get me wrong. But I think some of that is projected because of that cask strength. But the big thing that's really sticking out different on my palate is that iodine. That is really taking precedent here. And honestly starts killing a lot of the flavors that the Ardbeg brought and replaces them with this. So it's almost like I get the smokiness of the Ardbeg, but all the complexity of the Laphroaig. Both are really good sips. And let's talk about that real quick, because it really does boil down to personal preference. And I've said it a few times throughout the video. If you're looking on pure smokiness, the Ardbeg wins. This has the peaty factor. This has the smokiness. But if you're looking for complexity more than what this has, the Laphroaig 10 cask strength beats it all day, every day. But again, you still have to enjoy that iodine and the wet asphalt on a hot day kind of notes and that saltiness of that seaweed comparatively to the Ardbeg. So let's talk about market price now, because we all know market price is market price, and it's always going to vary. So The Ardbeg Hypernova, I even said in my video, you know, it's $250. I paid, I think it was $210. If I remember, I think it was $210. I don't think it's worth the $210. I don't think I could recommend that any day of the week. I think I only paid $87 or $89 for my Cask Strength Laphroaig. And to be honest, at the end of the day, if I walked into a store and I seen both of these on a shelf and I want a smoky bomb, I'm still going to land on the Laphroaig. This is so hard to recommend at this price point. And I don't recommend it at this price point. You get this for sub $200. You know, if this was $150, I think I'd be okay with it. But $250 in the secondary market, I don't think it's worth that. Nowadays, I'm seeing this to be upwards in the, you know, sometimes hundreds, sometimes 110, 120. And looking at Flaviar.com, it's $115 right now. So if I go in with that mindset, this is 115 and this is 210. Honestly, I'm still kind of leaning over here. This has, you could buy this and another beautiful scotch. You can buy Part Charlotte, which is a beautifully smoky peaty bottle for like $70s to $80. You could essentially, in my market, buy this and buy that and still have some change left over versus the Ardbeg. But again, if you can find this for a good price, I'm not going to criticize that. I think it's a good bottle. But I'm still going to give the market price section winner to the Laphroaig. But again, if you're looking for this, something that is going to be the smokiest, peatiest thing that you've ever tasted, of these two, Hypernova wins it. So yeah, there you have it, folks. Ardbeg Hypernova versus Laphroaig 10 and Cask Strength. If you have questions about either bottle, let me know down in the comment section below. I will do my best to answer it. And if you have any specific spirit I should put up against each other, also let me know down below. Doing these ABs help me learn, help you learn, and hopefully help you make a better decision. And as always, may your last drink of the night be the best one.
You know, and I really like it might